We're closing out this view of Darwin and this question and answer period at the end of the file that I typed up. The point is, naturalistic evolution just doesn't work. Evolutionists everywhere are beginning to recognize that and are beginning to look for other answers. Many are turning to the paranormal and to the cosmic and to other sources to salvage their theory of development, still without recourse to a personal creator. Finally, evolution has failed to answer a number of critical questions. We've gone through 11 of them, and they're just unanswerable unless we open up God's Word. Look at number 12. The magnetic force of the Earth has been observed as diminishing at a predictable rate every year. If the Earth is billions of years old, all right, I'll give you even millions, this magnetic force would then, millions of years ago, all the more billions, have been so huge as to be strong enough to pull in a whole galaxy like a black hole would. Therefore, life on Earth millions of years ago, or even billions especially, would have been impossible. 13. Based on predictable rates. By the way, point 12. The creation of the world. God, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. And it goes on, and as we go on, Genesis 1, 2. Let's just take a look at this. Genesis 1, 1 and 2. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. And then the earth was formless and void, and darkness was over the surface of the deep, and the Spirit of God was moving over the surface of the waters. We have a view of that in the fact that this is very possibly, theoretically now, or hopefully scientifically approached, could have been a white hole. All the light, everything in the entire universe focused in one spot, heavens and the earth, in the beginning. And the earth would not let its light out. There was no, because the gravitational force of the entire universe is focused on that one point of all creation, so immense and compressed, immense in power and compressed in size, relatively speaking. So, what we have is God opening up the intense location of matter in the entire universe and spreading it out to every single thing that is in the universe and has been in the universe. Stars and other bodies, moons, comets, whatever, way out there. And when that has occurred, then we have the focus comes in on the earth and how he took the earth itself, what was left of everything else. Let there be light, and the light is revealed out. And there was light, and God saw the light was good, and God separated the light from the darkness. There was total darkness in the universe. Only the light that was in is compressed inside all of the matter in the whole universe. And we have the day and the night. And then God perceives the midst of the waters, separate the water from the waters. And the expanse separated the waters which were below the expanse from the waters which were above the expanse, and it was so. Gradually, he creates the expanse of heaven. God called the expanse heaven, and there was evening, and there was morning a second day. And then he gathers the waters below the heavens into one place, and there's dry land. He's taking this mold like an artist. Big, huge lump of clay. Everything, that's it. And expands it out. And the power of it. And the earth remains in the center of the universe, so that what we see in the stars in the universe beyond, as far as our eyes can see, we are in the center of the gravitational pull of the entire universe. So we see these things quickly. If you're on the outskirts of the universe, It might take millions or billions of years for you to observe, because we have the effect of gravitation, dilation on all matter, and so on. So just consider that. So the magnetic force of the Earth has been observed as diminishing at a predictable rate every year. At the Earth itself, in that final, is billions of years old, even millions. This magnetic force would then, millions of years ago at the very least, have been so huge as to be strong enough to pull in a whole galaxy like a black hole would. Genesis 1:1 and 2. Therefore, life on Earth millions of years ago would have been impossible. Based on predictable rates of erosion, mountain ranges such as the Rocky Mountains should not exist today if you go back millions of years. Just logic, just basic math. You could even present these ideas in elementary school. If carbon dating is so accurate, how come it has been reported that some living snails and living trees were recorded as being 2,500 and 10,000 years old? How is it that very young lava flows in the Uinkaret Plateau in western Grand Canyon are recorded as being millions of years older than the Cardenas Basalt, which is the oldest and most deeply buried strata? Is the carbon dating system reliable at all? Not to go back that far. And it's not reached a saturation point where carbon-14 has saturated all of the air of the planet Earth to the point now you can measure things accurately. But until it's saturated completely, which is the assumption, and it's not there yet, then your date results are going to be inaccurate. And they can't go beyond 12 or 14 or 15,000 years. So you say, oh yeah, the universe is billions of years old because of carbon dating. They don't even understand that, and the scientists don't even bother correcting it. Could not God have created various forms of matter and life with various starting points of radiation? Yeah. What about before the flood? There's probably no radiation there at all from external radiation sources outside of the planet Earth because of the protective ice canopy, which blocked that ultraviolet radiation and external radiations. Could not additional radiation have been added to the world after the flood? There we go. When the canopy of ice was removed from Earth's atmosphere, and thus allowing in radiation, external radiation. Right, this external. I'll put these. This is my addition. External radiation from the sun and elsewhere, and I say elsewhere, the Van Allen radiation belt, and throwing off estimates of age using such a dating system. It would. They try to redefine how things were, and they weren't there. The uniformitarianisms, and the evolutionists. Point 15, if man is just another species in the chain of evolution, then why can't they simply evolve as they have been doing for thousands of years, killing one another, slaughtering and eating animals at will? Really? Evolve from that. Human history, so far as we can remember it, and so far as it's accounted before the flood. The reason for the flood? It's unbelievable evil. And they had greater capacities than humans do today, and they would have been able to destroy the planet had not God stepped in. William P. Orr states, The Guardian Weekly, in discussing Dr. Eldridge's model, put it this way in 1978. In the last decade, however, geologists have found rock layers of all divisions of the last 500 million years, and no transitional forms were contained in them. There are even intriguing suspicions expressed by some prominent evolutionists, like the Jesuit philosopher and paleontologist Teilhard Chardin was cult to be involved in the long-standing Piltdown Man hoax. Johnson recounts the supposed ancestor of Homo sapiens found under Piltdown Commons in Sussex during 1908 to 1915, and it was not exposed as a hoax until 1953. So you can take a look at that. I think I have that in my index. No, I didn't put that in my subject. It was probably it's too small of a topic to put it in after this huge 500-page study I did on evolution versus creationism. I would suggest you can do this with a lot of places. Just go BibleStudyManuals.net and then plus Piltdown Man, and you'll probably find one reference to that you can click on and gives you a little more background on that. But it was a hoax. There are a number of other hoaxes. As a matter of fact, there was a hiding of Neanderthal, and then other discoveries that were supposedly more advanced than Neanderthal, but they weren't. But they hid that because they were discussing this was the final human ancestor before modern man became that. But then they found other places where other Neanderthal types were there, pretty much the same capacity. So they're both human, fully human, 1800, 1700, 1800 cc brains. And their bodies were supposedly different, but actually you can't tell because what we had was skeletal remains or of that. So how do you put flesh around that? You can put modern man in a grave, take him out of the grave, and put all kinds of clothing on him and flesh and facial features. An artist, you can't get that from just bones, but they do that all the time. But then they turned around and found the later discoveries went down, they didn't evolve into man. How do you know? But in order to keep their story straight, not have too many contradictions, they did this all the time. In any case, the pressure to find confirmation of a missing link, Piltdown Man, was so great that it led to one spectacular fraud, Piltdown Man, which British Museum officials jealously protected from unfriendly inspection, knowing it was a hoax, allowing it to perform 40 years of useful service in molding public opinion about evolution. Using a famous metaphor by British astronomer Fred Hoyle, the author observes that the chance that a living organism would emerge from a prebiotic soup is about as likely as a tornado sweeping through a junkyard might assemble a Boeing 747, or the later ones now, from the materials therein. Chance assembly, Johnson elucidates, is the way a naturalist says miracle. See? How this would be miraculous, but God did it. And now they have the God particle, from which everything else evolved in modern day evolution, or whatever they call it today. Indeed, Nobel Prize biochemist Francis Crick stated in his book, Life Itself, an honest man armed with all the knowledge available to us now could only state that in some sense the origin of life appears at the moment to be almost a miracle. So many of the conditions which would have had to have been established to get it going. So what has scientist Crick come up with as a possible explanation? He advances a theory which has also been raised as a possibility by the aforementioned astronomer Fred Hoyle and his colleague Chandra Wickramasinghe, that of direct panspermia. In other words, a sperm came from outer space, from extraterrestrial civilization. This guy should have been in the movies. This passes for science, while those who believe in a creator are mocked. I should put a question mark there. It's absurd. Henry Morris states in the October 1994 issue of Impact, the Lord Jesus Christ clearly affirmed the truth of recent creation. Jesus Christ was the creator of all things. Colossians, John 1 through 3 through 10, Ephesians 3:9, Hebrews 1:2, and so on.